Hey everybody, Andy here. Thursday live office hours, great to have you. Got a little teaching lesson today. It's really a couple stories. I want to just remind you of the importance of networking always, but especially this time of year. It's November while we're doing this live. So if you are here with me today, get in the chat, say hi, let me know who you are, where you're from, what you do, what you need, put some question marks in front of your questions, and let me know if you're in any of my programs. Use your hashtags so I know who you are, where you are, what you have access to, and I want to give you a shout out. So I do want to talk about networking and just let's get back to basics about networking and what adjustments I think you should be making this time of year. And you know, as we head into the holiday season, a lot of people think that we are going into the slow time, and I say this every year. I've been saying it for 6 years in a row. This is the fastest time next to January all year. So this is the time when people are hurrying to hire. This is the time when people are willing to get back to long lost friends. Hang on, I want to, I don't know what, hang on, let me check something here, folks. Let me see. I think something might have gotten kicked, or I was tinkering with the lights. Apologies on this. That probably is a bit better. Let me see if I can. Adjust my lights here. Give me a second. Sorry for the interruption, but you know we do this live. This happens, and I scurry around at 10:59, chasing the dogs, making sure that they're fed and that they don't interrupt me during the sessions. I'm thinking that's probably better. Okay. All right, that's better. Carrie, yes, it's better. Thank you. Okay, so let's just get back. I'll just edit that out if we ever circulate this on the internets. But networking. Let's talk about it. It's important always when you're job searching, but it's important in life in general to maintain a healthy network. Now, I just want to impress upon you the importance of doing it now. People are not mailing it in. I talked about this a couple days ago where I actually sent you a video on I think it was Tuesday, a couple days ago, about why now is such a great time to be job searching. And if you haven't seen that, I would highly recommend that you watch it, and I go through my entire rationale about why this is such a great time. I don't want to revisit that right now because I did it all for you nice in like an 8-minute video a couple days ago. But if you haven't seen that, maybe Stacy can drop that in the chat. But why now is the best time of year to job search. Now, just go with me on this. But one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to always target organizations, reach into bosses, target recruiters, target teammates. And I talked about who I would target inside organizations, that they will be receptive. But one of the things that I would also make sure that I'm doing this time of year, so kind of tip and reminder number one, make sure you are reconnecting with people that you've worked with in the past, or friends you've lost touch with, or even people that you are still in touch with, because now is the easiest time. You've got the best excuse to send them a message to say, hey, it's November, it's December, it's the holiday season, it's the however you want to open it up, Merry Christmas, happy this or that, whatever it is. And I wanted to reconnect with you. I miss you. It's been a long while. I'm trying to do better about staying in touch with the people I love. I'd love to know what you're up to. And if you're up for a quick check-in before the holidays, or maybe in 2022 or the new year or whatever it is, I'd love to reconnect with you. That's it. Just get reconnected. You don't need to tell them that you're job searching. You don't need to tell them any of that stuff. Just try to get reconnected with them. Don't make it appear as though it's anything more than you just want to get in touch, and then start to rebuild those relationships or reestablish those relationships. You will be amazed at how many people will say, hey, you know what? I was thinking of you. I'm wondering what the heck you're up to. It's great to hear your voice. It's great to see your email. It's great to get your text. It's great to whatever. Okay, so I really want to impress upon you that now is the golden time to do that. And it's really November, December, January are the 3 months where you can really use that as your opener. Hey, it's a new year. I'm turning over a new leaf. It's the holiday season. I want to get caught up with long lost friends, whatever it might be. Believe me, there are a lot of people last year when I impressed upon you this tip that got jobs this way, who reconnected with old company alumni or friends that they used to work with. Now, I want to give you a couple of stories, networking related. I'm always trying to give you different examples to illustrate my points or to serve as reminders. And one of them is with he's a boot camper. He's in my job search coaching program. We call them boot campers because it used to be called the job search boot camp. He's also in a lifetime leader in my leadership coaching. His name's Art. And Art actually joined me last year in 2020. And he jumped into the boot camp and he went through the training, and wouldn't you know it, he got a job very quickly. So he did this in the last quarter of 2020. He took a new job in November of 2020. Here we are now, November 2021. In November of 2020, he took a new job with a pretty good company. And he said, I was in this, and he and I were doing a coaching session a couple weeks back because he was interviewing with a couple of very prominent companies. One of them is Google, and one of them is another very, very reputable organization. And they were, I asked him, how did you get this opportunity with this current company that we were mainly focusing on? This wasn't Google. And he said, well, it was interesting. He said, last year, after I joined your boot camp, I got a job, and I started in November, and December rolled around, and we were in one of these meetings, and we were on a Zoom session, and one of my coworkers, who wasn't really on my team, he was somebody that we interacted with. We had a multi-group Zoom session to run over some things. And he said they were really kind of browbeating this guy. So after the session, I reached out to him and I said, hey, hang in there. I'm sure everything's going to be great, this, that, and the other thing. And by the way, would you be open to sharing with me your address? I'd love to put you on my Christmas card list, something like that. So the guy gave him his address. So Art said, so I sent him a bottle of wine and a note and a couple other things, just as a, kind of a pick-me-up. And he said, and that spawned a great friendship. And the guy ended up leaving the organization not long after, but we stayed in touch. So now I would like to leave this organization for various reasons. And so I reconnected with this guy, and this guy used to work at this other company. And so he reached into that other company, and he said he called 4 bosses. He called the recruiting department, the HR department. He kept on them that they need to talk to me. I got an interview. I went in for interviews, and I didn't get a job. They actually chose somebody else. But I built such a great relationship with these people in the interviewing process, because I had a great introduction, and I really spent a lot of time with them through the interviewing process, that the boss called me back and he said, look, we really would like to work with you. We've got these other challenges. Could you create a job description for an opportunity for you to work with us? He ends up creating this job, and then he ends up getting this offer, and he ends up doubling his pay. And all of this occurs because he established a relationship with somebody that he was working with that he barely knew, but it was 'tis the season. It just coincidentally occurred at that time. But the point is, whether you are job searching or not, this is a great time to be planting seeds and building relationships with people, because these things, you just never know when you're going to need help, right? That expression about when's the best time to plant the tree 20 years ago, when's the next best time today, right? And the other expression about, well, you don't get to eat from the fruit from the tree on the day you plant it, kind of thing. You get the idea. And as a matter of fact, Art is now, I think, going to get an offer from Google next week, and he and I are going to be getting together next week. I don't know when you're watching this. Well, I know you guys are watching this right now, but if you're watching this on the recording, and I'm gonna spend some time with him, because I think his story is so awesome, how he went through this process, and there's so many golden nuggets in there. I wanna interact with him and maybe profile his case for you. So I hope you'll be hearing more about that. But my point is, just don't gloss over what's going on around you. Okay, in anything that you do, really experience what's happening, and also try to take that opportunity to get with others and build those relationships. it's just good to do, to support each other, but you also never know when you might need to tap into that. And so that's a great networking example. But I have another one, and I really had to chuckle with this. This one's even a little closer to home. It has to do with my niece, Marissa, who is a teenager, in fact. And I'm always looking for ways to draw parallels for the professional stuff that I teach you guys and the widespread applicability it has. But this one goes out to everybody from an analogy standpoint. I hope this cements what I'm about to tell you. But people in the academic profession, in other what they consider to be maybe non-corporate professions, is think about this. So my brother, I have a brother and 2 sisters. They're all younger. My brother's nearly 10 years younger than I am. The three siblings of mine have 9 kids between the 3 of them. They're a fertile bunch, and so I have 9 nieces and nephews, ages say 12 to about 18. And they're the nicest, most respectful kids. They're all hard workers. And I think probably the most important thing for you to know about my nieces and nephews is they all think Uncle Andy is famous. And that's really all that matters, is that they all now want to be YouTubers because they think this is the greatest thing ever. But they got to go to school first. And Marissa is a teenager, and she's about to go to, she's in her senior year in high school. So my brother and I were talking a little while back, and he said, we visited some of these big schools in the local area. They live on the West Coast. And he said, they're expensive, and, she likes the campuses, but, I think she really wants to play lacrosse. Now, I don't think of my niece as this super duper athlete or anything. I see the pictures on the family texts from her scoring, goals in lacrosse and, doing other things. But I never really imagined this. And I don't even think my brother did either. And he said, well, she really wants to play lacrosse. I said, okay. And he said, well, I don't know that she's any good. And I know she can't play at a Division I school, probably not even a Division II college. Maybe we need to think Division III. I said, well, if you're going to go investigate these, maybe you ought to think about her having to put a list of target schools together to see if as you investigate them. What does that sound like, right? A target list. You want to reach out to somebody, target lists of companies, target lists of people, but have her put this list of schools together. There's going to be company or universities that you've never heard of. So she comes up with this list of Division II and Division III schools. And I said, don't have her fill out the application. Don't go through the application process, heaven forbid. You need to do some investigation. What does that sound like, right? You do a little research before you start shoving your resume into an applicant tracking system, which isn't very good. So, these high school students that have to put their applications into these systems that terrorize these kids, but I said, before you do any of that, figure out, reach out to these schools and perhaps reach out to the coaches. So what does that sound like, right? The boss hunting techniques, targeting teammates, and so on, right? So go to the people who do the hiring, so to speak. So he reaches out. I said, just reach out to a handful, see what kind of responses you get. He reaches out to a handful of them. And one of these coaches was at a school that he'd never heard of in Fort Lewis in Durango, Colorado. And he said, so I reached out to her. I had no idea who she was. I said, I explained who I was. And he said, I have a daughter and she would like to play lacrosse. I don't know if she's any good, but what is this process that we would go through? Could you give me some help? Would you let me know, what the process would be with you, or just in general, any help you can give me, I would welcome. Something like that. Does that sound like a networking template that I would give you? So if you haven't seen my networking messages and the emotional trigger points that go in when you need to open up a dialogue, go check that out. So he sends these messages, and the coach in Durango gets back to him and says, is your daughter's name Marissa? So now obviously my brother is like, what? How could you possibly know my kid? We live multiple states over. And the coach wrote back, is your daughter's name Marissa? If it is, she's plenty good to play here. How about we set up a visit and you come out and we'll set you up for a couple days and you can meet some of the players and me, and we'll give you a tour and all that other good stuff. I'll send you a packet. We'll arrange a date. So she went out there. and had a overnight stay. My brother said it was unbelievably organized. He said, and I was talking to the coach, and the coach said to me, normally when in lacrosse in some of these schools, especially the smaller ones like us, he said, and the girls come in, and as freshmen and sophomore, they don't really play a lot on the team because they're just not as good as the girls who are juniors and seniors. They develop a bit more. But since we have a new program, and your daughter's plenty good, because I was aware of her because I had coached her in some summer camp the year or two before. So she'd known my niece. So that was how she made the connection. And my niece just signed her, commitment letter or whatever it is, going that route to this school. So now she's going to get to go to a nice school. It's not terribly big. They'll probably pay about a third of her tuition and room and board and all that good stuff. And so, this is the way the world works. But it doesn't work this way if you don't take the 5 minutes to send the message to somebody to put yourself in play. The art of the possible is always out there. The reason it might not be happening for you is because you're not taking enough chances. So this is another view at how the world works. If you give it a chance to help you, I think now is just a great time of year to do this. I think people in general do want to help you in general, but I think this time of year, they especially want to help you. So I really want to encourage you to do that. And I hope Art's story and Marissa's story inspires you to just take those steps. But at a minimum, it doesn't make any difference how reluctant you are. I think there's nothing wrong, and you would agree with me, that sending a message to a long-lost colleague or somebody you enjoyed working with and just saying, hey, I'm so sorry we lost touch and I'd love to get reconnected, and I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, or whatever you want, right? We call it falling on the sword, so to speak. But it's just a great technique to be using now. It's a great technique to be using always, but I think you can take advantage of it for the next 10 or 12 weeks. So I hope that helps, and I hope that encourages you. But I wanted to warm up, this session with those stories. I mean, they just happened over the last couple weeks, and I just was thrilled with both of them, and I appreciate all the success messages that have been coming in from my boot campers and my leaders and other people in the community who are job searching. And I encourage you all, and I'm going to be here with you a lot during this holiday season. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you're here with me live, let's go to the chat. If you watch this on the recording, I'll see you next week. All right. I hope that helped. I mean, I really, it's the way of the world. It really is. All right. So, couple things. Yeah, that picture is much better. Okay. Couple things. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, because I got so many things coming up over the next 3 months. It's just going to be nutso. And I want to tell you about a couple of them. One of them, next Thursday, live office hours is off because I'm doing an interview with one of the editors at LinkedIn who facilitates job searching. Andrew Seaman is his name, and at 1:30 Central Time in the U.S., I'm gonna be doing that show with him, and we're gonna be talking about interviewing and structurally how to answer any kind of interview question. So you can use the templates and the formulas that I'm gonna give you to answer any kind of interview question. And we'll be doing, a teaching portion that I think is about 40 minutes or so, depending on how we run, and then we'll, 20 minutes or so of Q&A. So it should be pretty good. I hope you guys can join. And that and other live events are on the Mile Walk Academy live events calendar on Friday next week, because I won't see you in this format before Friday next week, the 12th. I have my leadership monthly coaching, which is on negotiating your pay raise. So I'm going to take you through how to actually negotiate your pay raise. I know some of you are actually job searching, but these principles will also apply should you be negotiating a new salary. Now, if you do not know what my leadership coaching program is, it's a monthly live group coaching session that I do literally like every 4 weeks. I mean, it's pretty much like every 4 weeks. And you can come live. We do it via Zoom. It's highly interactive. And I teach and we do Q&A. They're usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And if you miss it, you get the recording. It's a great program about how to develop your career and live a fulfilled life. So my job searching curriculum is about finding the right job. My leadership program is about performing well in your work and in your life. So if you're interested in that, check that out. And then the following week, the 15th through the 19th, I'm live every single day right here for my Job Search Challenge event that I do once a year. It's my $300 program that you get for free if you can come and see me live. And the replays are very, very, very limited. But that week, I'll be with you all week. It's like 10 hours of coaching. It's almost 10 hours because we're going from like 11 to quarter to 1 or something like that. And then right after that, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm with members of my job search coaching program. So the boot campers have extra private coaching on those days as well as the following Wednesday. So I sent you a message this morning if you're on my email list, and if you have a Yahoo email address and you're not getting the Andy Love emails, that's because we're having some kind of issue. Not just us, but Yahoo is having an issue. And our email provider is working feverishly on trying to address that. But if you are not getting the messages and you want them, email support@mngmnt.com, and we can help you maybe swap out your email or something like that. My job search coaching program is on special for $100 off until November 24th. If you are in that program, you get to come to those 4 private group coaching sessions as well as the job search challenge. And you get to keep the job search challenge. So I hope you take me up on that. Let me see. Is there anything else? I think that's it. How about we go to questions? Let's see. And make sure if you're enjoying all this free stuff I give you and all the love that you click the little thumbs up button. And you know what's really funny? Every time I say that, which I love that you guys do this, and then like 10 seconds later, my screen lights up with these, you can't see it. It's like confetti on my screen because of the streaming software that I use, and then all these little golden thumbs go flying in front of me. It's really kind of cool. I wish you could see it. All right, what do we got? Adam Stark, need help improving boss hunting template at Minesfield's Tempted. Targeting mostly smaller companies, direct boss not always clear. Okay, Adam, all I'm going to tell you, I gave you the template. What you need to do to spruce it up is go watch my video on crafting the perfect networking message. And the reason that's going to help you is because I go through these 7 emotional triggers that need to be tapped in a message to elicit a response. Try that. Oh, there's all the things. They went flying. I love that. All right, Tony Proya, my man. Always love to see you from Dunedin. J.A., my left coast boot camper, how you doing? I got a couple left coasters. We'll call you L.A. Julie. All right, what do you got here? Interviewing with a great company. Job description says can be a hybrid based in one of 2 cities. I prefer not to reload and live where they also have a large presence. Best to ask about this. Okay. Let's see. Julie Mac Anderson, LA Jules. Okay. Yes, the question you asked me is when is best to ask about this? And my response to you, Julie, and to everybody, the when part of your question. So for all of you, let's knock out 50 questions right now. You all have something you want. I don't want to move. I don't want to travel as much. I don't want to work on that account. I only want to come in the office 3 days, not 4. All that stuff. Whatever it is, you always defer that to the end of the process because you want to ask when your stock is the highest, and you have to remember that as you go through the process, there is an emotional transformation that occurs with the employer and how much they now value the relationship with you. If they are about to give you an offer, that's the only point at which it matters that you ask and say, I don't want to go here. Can I do this? I want more money. I'm going to lose a bonus over there if I come here a week earlier. All the stuff that occurs. You want to make sure that you're asking when your stock is the highest. So that's the first thing. That should be at the end of the process and nowhere before that. Because if anywhere before the end, your stock is the highest, that means what? Your stock went down. We never want it going that way. We need it going up, 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 and we need it crescendoing during your interaction with your counter offer, right? So you want to hold off as long as possible. Just say to them, you know, I've looked at this. You know, we can discuss all that at the end. When you get to the end, what happens with them emotionally is they now, in many cases, if they've given you an offer, number one, they want you to accept it. Number two, they've put a lot of hard work in, so they're going to have a sunk cost bias when it comes to negotiating with you, meaning, oh, geez, we put all this effort and time in with her. We really like her, and if we don't get her, what's going to happen? We're going to have to take a loss. Either we're going to have to start the process over, or we're going to have to get somebody that isn't as good as LA Julie, or whatever it is. You want that working for you, okay? The other thing is they probably, if you've done a great job through the interviewing process, they've probably come to the realization that it really doesn't matter if you want to move to one of the other cities. If you're close to another office or you live near the headquarters or whatever, my guess is they will likely be okay with that. Now, there may be some compromise on your part, like you might need to get to one of those cities to develop relationships with your teammates. You need to be willing to give something back. But that's what I would do there, and that's why I would do it. All right, so for you, Julie, go into Module 5 in the boot camp. In Module 5 in the boot camp, there are multiple sessions. There's a main session with a lot of principles. There's some other supplemental tactics about whether you're handling multiple streams of interviewing processes and what to do and say as you go through those so that you can negotiate with multiple companies simultaneously toward the end. There's also a session in there about a case study about how to actually go through the steps, and I go into much greater detail on a lot of what I just told you. So that's what I would do there. You always wait till the end. All right, love that. My boss left, Nishmia. My boss left? Nishmia, is that right? My boss left, I was not promoted, got a new manager, turns out she's great. Love that. But I got an outside offer for a 47% raise. Look at you, love that. This is common. Should I use it to leverage a raise at my current position or just walk away? Okay, so let me tell you a couple things here. Number one, I don't ever want to just say you should take the 47% raise, or you should use it to hold your current employer's feet to the fire. I can't tell you what to do, but what I will tell you is I will tell you how I would evaluate the decision to come to my own decision. Now, if you did this properly, you have a standard set of requirements by which you're evaluating these two options, meaning you're not comparing your current role to the 47% increase. You're comparing your current role and your 47% increase to a standard set of benchmarks that you internally have created. These are the things I want. These are the things that are important to me. These are the degrees to which they're important to me, and so on. Then you look at each of those opportunities in relation to that standard set of criteria, so to speak. For all you boot campers out there, you know what I'm talking about, right? So you don't compare A to B. You compare A to you and you compare B to you, and you see which one is better. That's a more objective way to go about it. Now, what I would say to you is, why were you initially looking in the first place? If you were initially looking, you either sought out an employer or an employer sought out you, and you were open to talking with them, and as it turns out, they're giving you a gigantic raise. And this is normal. Like 47% raises are common now. Okay, I know this sounds nuts. This morning alone, I woke up to $40,000 increase, double my pay, 60% increase. Like, I wake up to these every day from people in these programs because employers are overpaying, and I've sent you messages over the last 2 to 3 weeks about why that's the case. So I'm not gonna go into all that. So this does not surprise me that you're getting gigantic pay increases, okay? Now, how I would think through this is, which one of these do you think is gonna satisfy you more long-term? Then, once you come to the decision, then you decide which one to choose. Now, if you go back to your employer and you say, I was interviewing and I got a big time offer, your days are numbered, okay? So, number one, I never like anybody to say, I went outside, I got an offer, I'm coming back to you, and what are you gonna do about it? Because if I'm the employer, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a raise and then I'm gonna fire you on my own time, okay? Because you're a flight risk. You got the scarlet letter on your chest. I already know this. And you're going to be operating under what we call the post-counter offer conditions. Okay, like you guys got to know this internal speak. So like when you come back to me and you say, Andy, I want a huge raise. And if in any way, shape or form, I give you a raise beyond what I wanted to, I am now going to hold you to a higher standard. You are going to need to be operating at a much higher level that warrants your new pay. And while this is going on, I'm going to be looking for somebody else. 72% of people who accept a counter offer are no longer with the company that they accepted it from within 12 months. And 80% of the 72% are gone within 180 days. Why? Because you realized it wasn't money that was the reason I wanted to leave. Or even if you did and they paid you, what likely is going to happen is they're going to replace you on their own time because it's much cheaper to pay you initially. If I give you a $20,000 raise but fire you in 3 months, it only costs me $5,000 to keep you, right? So you have to realize this is what's going through my head if you do this to me, all right? Because it's cheaper for me to say, up 20 grand more. There you go, right? So that I can now know that I have to refill your position. This stuff happens a lot. So what I would say to you is if you would like to stay at your current organization, then you go to your new boss and you make your case for a raise and you make your, and why don't you come on next Friday and I can teach you exactly how to do that without ever letting them know that you got nearly a 50% pay increase from somebody you don't know. So that's the way I would think through that. And then you can decide, do I want the 47% more with this new opportunity? Or do I really like where I am and this new boss is great and maybe, this new boss, she's going to help me and I want to stick it out. That's up to you. So I will never tell you to do one or the other, but I will tell you what's going through their head when you bring, I got an offer from another company. Trust me, a lot of you think, well, Andy, I accepted the counteroffer because the employer was really sorry and they raised my rates and all this and that. But what's going through their head is your days are numbered. It's true. And on rare occasions, it'll work out, but it'll never be the same. So just know that. All right. Yoshimi, say hi to Ben. I'm sending emails for 2 weeks and no bites. I'm starting to lose morale a bit, to be honest. I can see people read the email sometimes for 3 or sometimes for 7 minutes. Sometimes they even forward it to somebody else and nothing. What does this mean? Okay, couple things. Number one, I can't just tell you what's wrong. And a million things can be wrong, but the place I would point you is the Job Search Challenge Session 5, which you already have as a boot camper. Go there and look at it. It's mass troubleshooting and it's micro troubleshooting. Now, you put something in the system a week or so ago that says you're reaching out to a big 4 company and you got to referred you to somebody and the recruiter sent you an automated email. Well, if you're reaching into companies like that, I would not expect you to be getting a lot of bites. Okay? Because if they're routing you into an applicant tracking system, they're just going through some formal process and they're letting the ATS chew up your resume. So I on those, you need to realize that your batting average might be lower. If you're going to smaller to mid-sized companies, it's going to be better. Then are you targeting the right boss? Do you have, and I think you were trying to change some things, right? You might not have all the credentials. I think you went back to school for something, if memory serves. You may be having a hard time because you're boss hunting, but you don't have the requisite credentials that the boss needs. Boss hunting only works if you have the requisite skills that the boss immediately needs. That could be another thing. Now, when you talk about losing morale has a lot to do with focusing on the wrong things, as in your focus is on their response when your focus needs to be on, am I sending the right number of emails a day? Am I sending them to the right people? Am I giving myself the highest probability that they will respond, and so forth? If this persists, I would aside from going through I would go through the job search challenge, the troubleshooting techniques. I would ask myself these questions. I would come to those sessions on the 16th, 17th, and 18th for you, because you can come to the private group sessions. If that persists and you're not getting hits, then I would consider investing in a coaching session with me, because I would need to see what you're doing in detail, and I probably can find the issues very quickly. So it's just something to consider. Joe Winner, how you doing, my man? Good to see you, always. You are just a fantastic dude. Aylin, come on, baby. You got your glass with you? I could see it in the picture. Hopefully you got it. And Michael Moore, great to see you. And Marty, and all my boot campers right there. Look at you guys. Yoshimi, Joe, Aylin, Michael, Marty, Julie. Oh my God, just awesome. Marty, in Hawaii, so many opportunities. I need to really do the self-assessment in my own time. There's so much material. Okay, so that's true. And I hope those so many opportunities are falling out of your pockets. Julie, how to break the addiction to looking at job postings instead of targeting companies with boss hunting letter. Okay, can you guys see that right there? That booklet right here, this thing? Can you see this? This is my daily planner, okay? And on the daily planner, Julie, and you probably haven't gotten to the productivity course yet, but you plan your day according to what you want to do and what you want to happen. Meaning, at 5 o'clock or whenever you stop job searching on a given day, let's say today, Thursday, or Tuesday if you're watching this on a recording, and it's right for the next day, Friday morning. My calendar for Friday, in a few hours from now, my calendar for tomorrow is going to have every single minute accounted for. Get up. Tomorrow, I'm going to have coffee in bed with my dogs and my wife. That's true, right? Then I'm going to meditate. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do my first workout. Then I'm going to go into my my work stuff. Right, and every single thing there is itemized of what I'm going to do. All right, there's no exceptions. It's locked right there from this minute to this minute. And I know what I'm going to accomplish in that time. And I'm not going to deviate from that unless the house is burning down, okay? So, and I have to move physically, all right? And it would say, research companies. That's it. Not look for job postings, not doing it. Controlling my time, my calendar, and my focus. And anything that is not that, I do not do. All right? Now, if I see a posting, I'm not going to overly study it. I'm going to go look at the company. Is that a company I want? Then it's going to go on the company target list if that's what my 8 to 9 hours says I'm going to do. You've got to control where your attention goes. The easiest way to control where your attention goes is to make sure you plan where you want your attention to be at any moment in time. And if you don't plan for where your attention should be, what's going to happen? It's going to float to something else. Somebody knocks on your door, you say, I can't talk to you right now. All right, I know you think I'm kidding, but like if the boss comes in, it's like, is this hyper urgent? Like, do I need to talk to you right this second? Kind of thing. It's the same thing for when you're looking and you're controlling your own time. And so I would not be doing that, because there's nothing wrong with noticing job postings. And then what are you going to do with that information? You're going to add the target company list to your list so that you can, at some future hour in the day or future day, go and try to figure out who the boss is for that role. That's it. But you're not going to apply to that role. That's not what I would do. Why? Because applying for that role is going to give you a super low chance of getting a response. And it's going to require a whole bunch of minutes that, while those minutes are not difficult, meaning it's not difficult for you to cut copy, post in the applicant trashing system, attach resume, attach boilerplate cover letter, and go, it's going to chew up time that is better spent doing something else like researching companies and researching bosses that give you a much greater probability of success. So the reason that you are doing other things is because you are not proactively planning what you should be doing based on the lessons that I've taught you. So that, and this goes to anything. Any of you that use a daily to-do list, you got to dump that thing. You got to use your calendar to control what you're doing and your outflow and your outputs. All right, I think you're in the leadership program. Look at the productivity training. Take a break. Look at the productivity training and help yourself with your job search with that. And if you're not in the leadership program, then you should get in. You get a discount. Great to see you, Keith and Tom. Glasgow. Love it. Final decision for internal promotion. Can we give Tom a big high 10 and wish him luck on his promotion? Can we make sure that we are sharing this video? Or if you don't want to share it, at least click the like button, the thumbs up button, because that helps YouTube, and then YouTube will, the more likes, the more traction it will circulate it. All right, Jeff, what do you got here? Boot camper for one-on-one session. Which Jeff are you? Last interview today, tricky salary issue, want to get with you. I will sign up today if all goes well. If offer sooner than a week, how does that work with you? Jeff, all you need to do is get with support, and Kara will tell you, any of my boot campers, any of my leaders, anybody who is in my one-on-one coaching program of any kind that needs any time with me, get it fast, because by Thursday next week is pumpkin time, meaning I'm going to be turning into a pumpkin because I'm going to be round the clock working through the weekends, the job search challenge, 5 hours a day. All that stuff's really hard to get with me between Thursday next week and Thanksgiving. So hurry up and get in, and I will do whatever I can to make time. But I've been having phone calls at 5 in the morning, so I'll do what I have to. But you got to get to me, and if it's something that's urgent, please get in with me quick. Tom, Nicole, Deb, how are you? What do you got here? Hey to you, Alicia from Trinidad. I love it. Keith, networking with companies where you did not get the job and were one of the finalists. Okay, I love this. This is a great one. Keith, first thing, and if you haven't seen it yet, if any of you have not seen this, check out my video on how to get the job after being rejected. If you go to that video, I give you a script where I show you exactly what to say if, like you said, you were one of the finalists, so you did well, right? And whether there was 5 people or 50 people, but you built a relationship with them, and you talked to a number of people, and you just didn't get the job. And if you carried it that far, then you likely did well, and they likely chose somebody who just was a little bit better fit. Okay, that's probably what happened. I don't know exactly, but that's usually the case, especially if you went all the way to being a finalist. The rejection letter is a way for you to go out with some class, to make a little bit of an argument, a tiny argument. It's not pushy. It's, I respect your decision. I feel like I was a strong candidate because I hope you keep me in mind. These kinds of things, okay? But what it does is, again, plants the seed for you to be able to check in with them a month later, go back to the recruiter, perhaps the hiring official, maybe both, see if everything worked out well with the candidate, tell them you hope it did, right? Has anything else come up that they feel would be suitable for you, where you can add value in the company? Go that route. And if you start to build relationships with other people in the organization, that's not going to be nearly as potent as going back to people that you almost had a chance to establish a working relationship with. Now, there's also nothing wrong with getting connected to the interviewers after you're done, okay? Not during, not at the beginning, not during, not at the end, when it's all over, meaning I got the job or I didn't get the job and I've been communicated to, one of those two things. Then you can invite them to connect with you on LinkedIn. Hey, I really enjoyed, Andy, I really enjoyed meeting you and the Mile Walk team. I'm sorry it didn't work out. I'm wondering if we could, connect up on LinkedIn and stay in touch. Sure. Great to accept your, right? All right, now I'm connected. Now you're also following the company on LinkedIn. Hit the follow button to see, and you want to get connected with those people that you interviewed with and the managers. If you did not get the job and they do not want to connect with you, what do? You follow them, okay? Follow the company, follow the people, all right? Because what happens? They might share a new role that they're looking for. You never know. You want to be aware of what's happening. You could passively follow, right? Network with them by watching what they're doing if they're doing anything on LinkedIn. So these are all good little tricks of the trade to do if you did not get what you wanted with that organization but want to stay in touch. And then there's nothing wrong with if the interviewers say, hey, I'd love to stay in touch with you, check in every now and again. I would hit them in 30 days. I would hit them in 3 months after that. Just check in. All right, that's a great one. A couple of good jewels for you there. All right, slip a hand, dang. Janice Coleman, what's the good word? And Patty, New Jersey Patty, nice to see you. And Damian Ford from the UK. Great to have you, buddy. Appreciate all your nice remarks on YouTube. Jacqueline Washington. Hey, Andrew, I'm Jacqueline and research and consulting analyst in impact investing. I've been following you for 3 years now. Wonderful. And have purchased some of your materials. Thank you for your advice. You are welcome. I'm always happy. Happy to help anybody, but especially happy to help somebody who invested in the programs. It's great to have you. What's up, Hoove? Nishima, I'll answer questions. Yes, I will, and I answered yours. Tajunji, I'm not sure how you pronounce your name, but I appreciate your comments on YouTube too. I really appreciate you watching from UAE, Abu Dhabi. Man, we have a lot of people from Abu Dhabi in our programs. Jamar, Stacy, thanks for circulating. Michael, hey to you. I would say, you said you're in the process, but prospective employers don't seem quite ready to hire till closer to the end of the year. That could be true depending on who the organization is. So remember, a lot of them are kicking off their recruitment processes because they need people at the beginning of the year. So here we are, November, 4th, while we're doing this live. So that doesn't surprise me. Highlighter, how to make sense of the % growth in bullets for your achievements in a brand new department. Pioneered the sales and marketing role for 10 months. Don't go with percentage. All you need to do is it was at 0 and it's now at what? And the potential revenue growth after leaving the position, you're gonna have to figure out what transpired. But in your case, what I would probably do is if you pioneered the sales and marketing role, what I would say is to answer both of these. Any of you that start a new unit, there's 2 things you gotta tell. It was at 0, right? I started it, created brand new. That suffices. You don't need to say from 0, from scratch. It created new sales and marketing department, and within 10 months, generated what answers the 2 questions. How much money and what kind of pipeline? And pipeline, so dollars and cents, simple enough. And pipeline is what? How many new leads, right? Is it 400? Is it 40? Is it whatever? Just pipeline of X number of prospects. If you built a website and you were collecting leads, created website to whatever, generated X number of prospects. Like that's what helps at least give context for the position and the state in which you left it in. So that's a great one right there. Hello, Mark. I hope you're enjoying the resume workshop. Oh man, if you didn't, my apologies to anybody who did not get the resume workshop for $49. That was a great deal. I hope you are enjoying it. How you doing, baby girl? Diana, how you doing? Great to see you. We need another meetup, I know. Tony Kraus, good morning to you. I have been in this job roller coaster since January with multiple interviews. I'm assuming you mean job search, including final round, but no offers. Any pointers on what I need to improve? So Tony, obviously it's difficult to know why you're not, well, number one, I don't know how many interviews you've had. Number two, I don't know, or meaning with companies, I don't know, you know, what the issues are. I don't know what you're interviewing for. With I guess a question that open-ended, the place I would send you is my interview playlist. Also, the interview intervention book back there, we do still give that away. The hardbound, the ebook, the audio book, the extra ebook, extra $27 ebook for, you know, how to interview the employer, 75 great questions to ask before you take any job. You get all that stuff. I ship it to you anywhere in the world for a mere $7. That's going to change soon, and I just ordered, I think, another 4,000 books. But I would grab that. That one right there is a great one. And if you're not sure, if you guys are ever not sure where something is, just go to milewalkacademy.com. Marty, true informational interviewing. What do you ask bosses? Use the boss hunting template. Recruiters, use the cover letters I gave you in module 2. That's it. And teammates, when you approach a teammate, do something like, hey, I was reaching out, you know, I'm doing my job search, and I noticed you work at such and such a company, and I'm just, as part of my due diligence, I wanted to check in with you to see how you enjoy working there. Would you be open to sharing that with me? I was considering applying, but before I did that, I'd love to get your opinion and so on. Just something like that. And then you start building a dialogue. That's great, right? If they say, I really enjoy it, what specifically did you go back? What specifically did you enjoy about working there? That's okay. I enjoy this. This is really great. Based on your input, I think I will apply. Before I do that, would it make sense if, you know, would you get any benefit if you referred me in? Would you be open to that? Something like that. They might get an employee referral bonus, you know, this kind of stuff. And if you've gone back and forth, you know, 3 times with them, they might be comfortable. Something like that. Bria, I'm a senior quality manager trying to move up to the director level, but I'm having difficulty because companies are saying I don't have strategy experience. How do I pull my nonprofit work in strategy? So it depends. Do you actually have strategy experience? If you don't have strategy experience, and this seems to be a requirement, my best advice to you, and this is not just specific to Bria, don't try to get a job for which you don't have the credentials. I understand you might want this. I think you would be better looking at, what are the senior managerial roles in an organization that I would be open to moving to? Do they have director level roles? What are the requirements for those director level roles? You have a much better chance of being a senior manager in the organization and them elevating you based on your track record of performance than you do coming in as an outsider without the requisite skills that they want and them considering trying to grow them in you on the fly. So that's what I would do. So if you have nonprofit work in strategy and you actually have that, then you need to highlight that up in your career profile and in your career highlights section. And you need to notate that in your cover letters too. But if you're saying it's difficult because you don't have that, I'm wondering, are they telling you we don't want to look at you because you don't have that? I would be surprised if that's the case. I hope that helped there. Jacqueline? Andrew, I'm currently in the second phase of my interview process for a manager position of the org's portfolio. Any tips on best practices with assessments, advice on out of state when it's remote? Okay. Okay. So first off, I'm not sure if you mean like tests and assessments. We have some videos on that. Stacy, drop. I don't want to go through the tests because I covered all this in a video. Give her that, and then any advice on out of state when it's remote. Are you saying you don't live in the state? It's going to be a remote job. I think that's what you mean. If that's the case, there's no difference. If it's a remote job, it's a remote job. You want to highlight your organizational skills, your ability to work independently, and your comfort level in being self-sufficient and those kinds of things. You could do that on your resume. You can do that in your cover letter, and you could do that in the interviews. So I would focus on that stuff. The assessments, I would not sweat those. Go in and take them. I go into a long rationale behind why they're ineffective and why I wouldn't sweat them and all that good stuff is basically what Stacy will share with you. All right, let's see. Aylin, meeting up with old colleagues is what I'm mostly doing. I hope that it will help at this time of year because I'm not getting any calls from applications I've sent out. Okay, well, if you're applying, that does not surprise me, but I'm assuming that's what you mean, but keep at it. Thanks, Jeff, for the encouragement. You know what? I almost wish you could sit behind me for us show because I'm so focused on what we're doing. And I never know how many of you, I don't pay any attention to how many of you are here and how many thumbs up, other than I just see the things going when you do that. But I appreciate that. Click the thumbs up. 130 people and 26 clicks. How many people are actually here? In my screen, it says now it bounced at 139 and 85 thumbs up. I appreciate that. Oh my God, you guys are awesome. This is another thing. This is for reals here. More is always nicer, but deeper is better. Meaning, I would rather form a deeper relationship with you than just see the numbers balloon up, because that the numbers ballooning up only indicates one thing, that someone is good at search engine optimization. Someone is good at getting, followers on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. Deepening of relationships, questions and comments, interaction, how we feel about each other, that is a sign of a good trainer, a good coach, a good teacher. And so I don't measure myself by how many YouTube followers I have. Yeah, more's nicer, meaning hopefully I'm helping more people. But I see people with zillions of followers that don't interact with them, and that to me isn't what it's all about. I mean, I'm telling you this because I want you to carry this forward in your businesses and in your life. More doesn't always mean better. More doesn't mean more effective. More doesn't mean more stable. More doesn't mean less risky. So I want you to think about your jobs. Is it better to have more customers, or is it better to have 80% of those numbers you want and have great relationships with them? Just remember that. That's why some businesses survive and others don't. Terry, let's see, wait, it looks like it got cut off. Bria, I see that one. Nishmia, my boss left, I was promoted. Wait, I see that too. Did I slide this? I think some of you might have been entering, okay. Mr. Black Italian, 47%. Nicole, you uber tuber, what's the good word? Connie Richards. How can I ensure my application gets seen as a Canadian remote candidate when the ATS asks if I need sponsorship to accept? I don't get past the ATS. I wouldn't imagine that you would have good luck doing that, only because of how difficult that is. That is their way of ruling you out right away. It's a fair question. They can ask it, and they immediately know that you're not a viable candidate in their eyes. That doesn't mean you can't be a great employee. So Connie, I would not put any applications in the applicant tracking systems if I needed a visa sponsorship. I simply would not. You need to get somebody to interact with that can refer you into that company, or you need to boss hunt. That can be cold, so it's not like you need to know somebody there, but I would go the other routes. Most people, even qualified, that don't need visa sponsorship have trouble getting through the applicant tracking system. So you got to go a different route. By the way, I know I said this earlier. All of you that are having trouble with the applicant tracking system, the job search challenge the week after next, which starts on the 15th, this is what should help you not need to rely on that applicant tracking system. So I hope Kara, I don't know if we put the link up yet, but we probably ought to have the link for the job search challenge up and pinned, or Stacy or somebody put that up, because that to me is what you need to be doing right now. And for the last few years, this I think might be the third year in a row, but I've been using this challenge for even longer, where we carved out the week before Thanksgiving, meaning the actual full week before Thanksgiving, to run the whole show. So you're going to get to see, I'll be there with you live, and you're going to get to see these lessons that I've been teaching over the past few years. We did it before COVID hit. We did it during COVID. It's been highly effective. Now, COVID is still lingering on. It's the same principles that apply. It's really been effective. Han Yin, the position I interviewed a few months ago suddenly reopened after they told me I got bested by some candidate. I pinged the hiring team asking for reconsideration, but didn't hear back yet. Is that a bad indication? So I don't know why they didn't get back to you. I don't know why you didn't get the job initially, but I would, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, because there could be any number of reasons. They could be busy. They could be out of the office. They could be focused on budgeting and other projects. It could be anything, but I would keep at it, and I would try to reach the recruiter. I would try to reach the hiring official as well, or somebody in HR, or somebody that you interacted with that has some authority or was helping you through the process. I don't know why they don't get back to you. We have situations where I get people emailing me frantic because they're not getting responses to their boss hunting letters, or they think somebody's ghosting them or whatever. And then by the time we have the coaching session, they've gotten back, they've got interviews, anything could be occurring. So it's difficult for me to know. And you're not sure why the position is not filled. Any number of reasons. The candidate might have got an offer from somebody else. The candidate might have showed up and bonged out. The candidate might have showed up and wigged out. Or the candidate might have showed up and performed poorly, and they cut their losses right away. It could be anything. Anything. I've seen things, companies have hired somebody and then let them go because something happened with the stock price, something happened with a client. We had one client of ours, I kept telling her that she needed to diversify her portfolio. They kept hiring people from us. They lost their biggest account and had to let half the company go. That could happen. You never know. Now, that doesn't indicate why they're rehiring. But anything could happen at any time. Nicole, do I recommend adding a position to your resume and LinkedIn profile that you only worked at for less than a year? My current position is not a good fit, and I'd like to begin looking for a new role. So you can do a couple of things here. Number one, my recommendation is if you are at a current job that you do not like, and Stacy, let's actually drop this one in the chat. We have a video for exactly what to do and what to say in an interview. On your resume, I would put it there, and then regarding the interview, I would do what I say in this video that Stacy's going to give you as far as how to respond and what to say. On LinkedIn, you could do whatever you want. LinkedIn is not a legal document, but if somebody doesn't see that and then is open to talking with you, and the recruiter says, send me your resume, and the recruiter happens to look at your LinkedIn profile, it's not the end of the world that you don't have it on there. you gave them the resume, and the resume is your real life, so to speak. So that's the way I would approach that. I'll leave the LinkedIn up to you. If it's me, I would have it on there. I don't know if I just saw that, Kara, about the one Jacqueline said, but that's not what she wasn't asking about performance. She was asking about tests. How to find, let's see, Grave, how to find accurate market value using what I think is a fair dollars, but can't get past the recruiter or ATS. Try not to give a number, but when have to, they're insistent. Okay. I'm going to give you a really simple one here. Don't you try to figure all that out, okay? You don't know what's fair. So 40,000 increase, 60,000 increase, double your pay, 47 increase, you know, from somebody who mentioned it today, right? Like, you have no idea what the number is. You just don't, okay? So don't try racking your brain. Okay, I want to say this, Grave. I'm glad that you kind of tipped me over here. I haven't said this to you guys in a long time. This is a really great question. It really is, because you just don't know what market value is, which is why I tell you there is no such thing as market pay. There isn't. Any organization that claims that they know what a fair market pay is for this project manager or that architect or that technologist is clueless. They don't know. How could they possibly know? Here's what happens. They know what they're paying their people. They might have even paid money to the Kennedy Group or some other company that goes out and surveys people, or looked at Glassdoor to come up with some number that they should be paying. And what's wrong with doing that? Number one, that group, that company, that survey, that online whatever, is pulling data from ago. 10 minutes ago, 10 months ago, or whenever, but it's ago, right? That's in the past, and that's trailing, and that is not an indication of what I need to pay to get somebody in my seat today. I gotta pull somebody from somewhere else, or, right, I gotta entice them enough. Well, I have to pay her 47% more. I have to pay him $40,000 more. No survey's gonna tell you that, okay? So then it comes down to hand-to-hand combat at a moment in time, right? Now you're asking me, well, Andy, how do I know where to start? You don't, which is why you don't give them a number. What do you do when you get into an interview process? You keep asking questions so you can keep getting more information so that before you open your mouth and stick your foot in it, you have more information to know not to stick your foot in your mouth. Okay, so then they say, well, hang on a second. And you're going to say, Andy, they're forcing me to tell them. Then you say, I don't know. Pick a number for me. Tell me what your budget is. Give me whatever. You start. You go first. If you're insistent that I give you a number, then you must have some number in mind so you can check your little box so that I can fit into it. Right? What's your budget? Give me that number. And then you just accept it at that moment in time because the fight hasn't started. Okay? At this moment, paying any attention to what they tell you is going to do one of a couple things to you. It's going to throw you off your game because you're all bummed out because you think you deserve $50,000 more, okay? Right? Or you're going to lock in mentally. It's called price anchoring, but it's a similar analogy, but that's what we do as buyers. And we think they're only going to pay me $60,000. So now you go through the whole process and you're not on your game. Instead of one of two things is always present at the time somebody is speaking in the beginning of the process about what the salary is going to be. If the company says it's $60,000, that's what we want to pay, or it's between 50 and 70 or whatever. That's what they think they want to pay at that moment in time for who they think should fulfill those duties. That's how that's determined. It's based on history, not projection. Except you're working when? In the future, not in the past. Okay, that's what they think. What are you going to do about it? You're going to take what they tell you And you're going to realize that if that's not enough money for you, or that's not acceptable, or you're not comfortable earning that amount of money for what you're going to contribute, you get the whole interviewing process to do what? Change their mind about the value of that position, who they think can solve what problems they have or the challenges that they need to overcome, and the value they're going to realize based on what you've shown them you can do or will do. So I think somebody with this level of skills, who's got about this many years of experience, who I've generally seen do these things, earns about 60 grand a year to do that, and that's how I value the position. Okay, now you need to show them that you have more expertise, and with that expertise can make more things happen than what they expect. You want me to do this, but I can actually do this. Okay, so now for this, because I'm going to prove to you that I can do this, this is more valuable. Okay, this is more valuable, which means I should get paid more. Now, you don't say it that way, but you're going to show them, well, I'm going to be able to contribute. I'm going to be able to do. Wait, it doesn't need to be this. Guess what? It can be this, and you could get paid more. Why? Because I don't need to take 8 hours to do that job. I can do that job in 1 hour. What do you want me to do with the other 7? Right? This is the stuff that goes on in the interviewing process. But a lot of you quit immediately because you're worried about what number you're giving them or what number they gave you. That's not the fight. That just throws you off your game. The fight's way down at the end. And it's not when they give you the offer. It's when you go back to them and explain to them why you're worth more. I mean, this drives me nuts that people do this. You leave money on the table, you leave jobs on the table because you quit. Because of something you heard or something you believed or something that they believed, but they're not the ones deciding what you get paid. No recruiter's deciding that, no HR person unless you're joining their team, right? So when going back to Graves' situation, don't give them a number. And if all they need is an agreement to a number, they don't need your number. They need at a minimum an agreement to their number. And you just agree up front. And then you're going to say, well, Andy, when I get all the way down to the end, well, I told them that was okay. Now what? That's right. You did tell them that was okay. And you gave them an answer because they pressed you. And you gave them an answer based on what you knew at the time. And guess what? You know a lot more now. Right? Well, we live in a whole new world than we did 3 weeks ago, right? I met 7 people. None of them on the team can do what I can do. And you wanted me to do this, and I'm going to show you I can do that. What's that worth to you? Okay? Yeah, that was a $60,000 a year job. This is an $80,000 a year job. And you have to make some argument that you are worth that. And if you don't want to stay there and fight through the interviewing process to prove that, I'm okay with that. But I'm telling you, that you don't need to just take what they tell you they want to pay. You need to decide, do I want to work here badly enough? Am I going to put in the effort to go through this process to prove to them that I'm worth way more? That's what you do. It's not because you just want 80. It's because you're worth it. So you need to make the case. A lot of this stuff and a lot of the interaction of how to do this is probably the single greatest thing that I spend time on in one-on-one coaching sessions with people is helping them figure this out, how to make the argument, what exactly to say, and when the employer says something, you say this if they say that. If they say this, you say this. We go through all this, and it's really hard to do in general, but the point is that you have to recognize that these things are malleable. They might not be at the moment in time because that recruiter needs to check a box. You get days, weeks, or months to change their mind. They always have, just recap this, they always have 2 issues. 1, here's what I think I want to pay for the problems that I need to solve. And here's who I think can solve it. You get the interview process to turn both of those things on their head. I know you thought this was the person to solve it, but I'm the person to solve it, and I am far more equipped. And I'll tell you one last thing, and I know I'm really rolling on here, but once they see you, they can't unsee you. You can reset their mind about what that position should be worth. Okay, this happens every day for somebody who's willing to take the time to do that. But if you say, well, no, that job just pays this and that's what they told me, well, then you're living in the world that God gave you instead of creating the world that you want. Boy, did I roll off on that. But you know what? I needed to let that one go. So Grave 79, you don't need to give a number. All right. Tawana, with that great picture that I love, Andrew, I was verbally offered a job opportunity recently. I interviewed a month ago. I was told they are getting the offer letter and everything's situated. Other offers are also on the table. I'm not sure what the question is. I'm actually not sure what your question is. Awesome. Let me know if you have a different, let me know what the question is, and I'll try to help you out there. Sandeep from Mysore, India. I love it. Should I ask my recruiter initially how many rounds of interviews in the selection process and who will be taking, which gives me a better understanding and able how to, and also how to prepare? Yes. Wait. Yes on everything there. That is a fair question. Hey, I'd love to know what the interview process looks like, about how long does it take, what are the stages generally? That's a fair question. Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it a whatever? Just want to plan? Just ask. Just ask. Let me see. I think this is, make sure to put question marks in front of your question. Working in working in a big tech company in the US, recently interviewing with another big tech company for an overseas position. It will be a local hire, so the compensation will be significantly lower. Wondering if there's a good strategy to request a compensation package matched in the US standards. Well, I'll be honest with you here. If you are moving and the local rate says this is what it pays, that's for you to decide if you want to be, because if I'm the employer, okay, you work in New York, and New York is more expensive than Chicago, theoretically, in most places, I would assume. So there's a cost of living difference. And it's like that in a few other pockets throughout. But just, it doesn't matter if you're rolling over the pond or you're rolling down the street or different states or you got state taxes. And, you know, if I go to Texas, I don't have to pay state taxes. I immediately get a, you know, X% increase. So to me, I think there is a bit of concession that you need to give to the employer, because if I'm able to find somebody local that will be willing to work for what I'm open to paying because that's how I value the position. Now, you could change my mind and try to help me understand, going back to my little rant there, about why you're worth more. That's, I knock your socks off. But the fact that you're moving and using the fact that my local currency or my local cost of living is lower and that you should be paid more is not a negotiation tactic. It just isn't, because I don't care. Because if you don't want to move here for this, then don't, right? That's how I would say that to you, or the employer would say that to you. So you're going to have to fight on the other angles, going back to my little rant there. Nishmiya, you are welcome. Habibur, how are you? Let's see. Bria, how do you identify what the boss needs when you go off the job description and it's different from the reason they give you why you didn't get selected to move forward? Okay, wait. So this is a really interesting question. Let me make sure I understand what you're asking here, because I think this is a good one. All right. Identifying what the boss needs when you go off the job description and it's different from the reason they give you for why you didn't get selected to move forward. Now, there's a couple different things here. Here's what the job description says I need. I'm the boss. I'm telling you what I actually need. That supersedes what's written on the paper, what I tell you in the interview process. You need to make sure that you're clear that what I'm saying is in fact true. If there's any discrepancies on the job, you know, if I say, hey, I need these skills, and these skills, 1, 2, and 3. But in the interview, I say, well, actually, number 3 with less years is really more important, and I need this. Well, that's different. Right? You would make the assumption that the first one where you need X years of this and 10 years of this, 5 years of this, and 3 years of that, or whatever. I'm just using it for illustrative purposes. But basically, you have to make sure that you understand what we call the keys to hire. The keys to hire are those are the trump cards. Those are the things that matter more. Those are the things that are going to supersede other things. Now, if you came in and I said I was looking for a I'm just going to use this analogy here because I think this is what you're asking. if I said, okay, I'm looking for a technologist, and you're going to be the director of this team, and you need to have skills in implementing these networking solutions and this, that, and the other thing, and I tell you, Bria, by the way, I have no idea why you didn't get selected. We're not going to go with you because you don't have enough executive presence. Okay, well, that's fair if that position needs to go to the steering committee, executive committee, board of directors, or whatever, and influence what's paid and security risks and this and that. So any of that stuff is fair game, and you don't know how important that is unless you're investigating that in the interview process. The only thing to cap this off, I would say, is when you depart, if you are not selected, go back to my rejection video. If you guys don't know what that is, just type LaCivita reject in Google and it'll pop up first thing. And I would lay the foundation that way. I would try to get the feedback, and I would then make the determination, is the feedback something that was specific to this position or specific to me and the company, meaning they will never choose me to work for that organization. Maybe there was a cultural difference. Sometimes, there's this expression, you took a bullet, you just didn't know, to fall down and die. Then it's not a great expression, but you know what I mean? Like somewhere along the way, you lost it and you might not have noticed it. And you gotta make sure you're paying attention along the way to see if you need to reverse course at any point or overcome something, that bullet wound, figuratively, so to speak. But anyway, I hope that helps you there. And that is a great question. Let me see. Kara, thank you for that. Jules, okay, this is awesome. Jules, how are you? Jules is one of my boot campers. She's using the job search coaching program that I mentioned. That's for $100 off right now if you want to get in. So happy to check in and let you know my new job is going great. I am very busy, but will get a success story soon. Jules, I need it. I need it so I can show people. Jules, take your video, take your phone, go like this, talk to your phone for 60 seconds, and I'll put it in the reel that we'll play, and we'll let everybody know how you're doing. Would love to run your story. Jason, interviewing for internal role, hiring manager has hinted about what corp title pay grade that he sees me being brought in. I think it's not aligned with what I bring to the role. Been sprinkling examples. Okay, answer to you. Go back to my rant that must have been 10 minutes, a few minutes ago, and that's what I'm talking about. It makes no difference what the title is, what the pay is. If you're in the right zone and you're having a dialogue about what you can do, you figure it out through the interview process. Art's story, one of those that I mentioned in the initial little teaching portion here today, he didn't even get hired, and then he created his own role, twice the pay. So I wouldn't be overly concerned about this stuff right now. I'd go through the process and focus on what you can control, which is showing them how much value you can create for them. Mia, true or false? In order to overcome the applicant trashing system, we'll need to use the same language as the job description. We will need to update our resume based on the job description. So, Mia, I love this. I think what you're saying, and maybe we could dump my job scan link in here, folks, or Stacy. So, in order to overcome the applicant tracking system, which I'm assuming you mean to get through it, use the same language. That is true as far as it relates to the keywords. So if it's calling for something, you wanna use the same nomenclature. That's helpful. Now, in my job search, in the boot camp, in the coaching program that I referred to, we have a whole session on how to do this. Literally, there's an ATS submittal checklist that's like 9 pages that you need to go through to make sure everything is in order. And we show you how and why, and I did a video, a session with the crew, and there's this document that you can use to walk through it. It is important. Now, if you do not have my job search coaching program, if you guys are not a boot camper, one of the things that I would suggest that you do is use JobScan. It's a tool. You can start it out for free. You can test it out, see if, and there, like, you get a number of free runs at it. And you could use my referral link. I get a couple dollars if you end up signing up. You know, after, like, I get like 3 months late, you know, if you, after 3 months or whatever, if you actually use this thing, they give me a couple of bucks. It's a good tool. I like it. I would not obsess over my resume matching every single thing, but you can use it to improve your ability to align your resume to the job description, and it will give you a lot of the obvious stuff that you probably didn't notice. I would change all the obvious stuff, and then I would submit it. That's how I would do that. I would not sweat it. Like, I would not agonize over my actual percentage, because it varies, the potency of it. Andrew LaCivita is so right. Structure is key. Per David book can't hurt me. I read that book. True happiness equal goals, structure, and tracking progress, adjusting as needed. I'm resuming the behaviors ASAP. I read that book and umpteen others. I am just about to finish Peak right now. I read Winning. I read a couple triathlon books all in the last couple of weeks. So, you know, those are some good ones. Jeff Comstock, Joy, how are you? Andrew LaCivita, Aylin, your mug never leaves your desk. I don't use it. Come on. Oh. So for those of you guys that don't know our little inside story, by the way, whoever accumulates the most inside jokes wins life. Okay, Aylin and I, she saw this mug that I had one day. I don't know if you can see it. The lights are probably killing it. Here we go. And she loved it so much that I went onto Amazon and I sent it to her in Canada. And then she sent me that shirt she's wearing in her picture. It's a little cute little thing we do. All right, jetting. Your advice on how to respond when HR asks about salary expectation has been working very well in my screening calls. Awesome. I get moved forward in the process in many instances. All right, jetting is a boot camper and an all-around super dude. Really, folks, if some low-level recruiter, corporate recruiter, HR person is getting like all blue because you don't want to give them a number, first thing I could tell you is it's probably not a great company. Second thing is just ask them, you tell me. Say, okay, sounds like a good place to start, and go. All right, let me see this. There's a couple things in here. Hang on, Kara, let me look. So Gemma is saying, I don't know where Gemma is in here, but Gemma, hey. Andy used your CV template and your advice, including asking your favorite question, and got 11 interviews, accepted an offer at 35% pay increase. A huge thank you for your help. I love that. You guys have, Gemma, can we give her a high 10? And Gemma, I'm so proud of you and happy for you. You guys have no idea how it never gets old for me to hear from you with stuff like this. Anything. It could be intermediary goals. I'm getting traction. I'm getting interviews. My resume looks way better. I feel so much better about how my resume looks. Anything that you're doing that I, in some small way, helped you increase, bolster, feel more confident, get better results, and all that will never get old. And I always want to hear it. I always want to hear it. So proud. Ian, is it wrong to think I could land a management position, you're over 55, with a big logo if I've worked for SMBs in non-management roles? So I don't tell anybody what to think, and I would never tell you that it's wrong to think anything. If I actually accepted people's opinions for every time they told me that what I thought was crazy, I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing this. I guarantee that. So I'm not going to tell you that it's impossible. Here's what I would say. When I decided to become a trainer in this capacity, and I would love to influence a lot of people, meaning I want to help them. And I didn't start and say, oh, well, I'm just going to turn the camera on and everybody's just going to come to my live show in the middle of the day on Thursday. No, I said, what's the first step I need to do that? Oh, well, people got to know who I am. Maybe I could give some free stuff away so that they can get an idea of my teachings and my principles. And then I'd let them decide if they're comfortable. And then after 15 months of that, then I actually put something out for sale. I'm not recommending that if you're starting a business. I would do it a little differently, but that's what I did at the time. And I would do it the same way again because I did what I thought at the time with what I knew and how I was feeling. But my point to you, Ian, is, all right, so I had a step, and then I had another step, and I had another step, and so on. What's the next step that I should do in order to get to where I want to go? So the step is either something like, such as, getting a position in a larger company. Maybe it's not a managerial position. Maybe it's reporting to somebody who's the manager or a position that you would love to get into someday. What's the next step? The next step is get a job with a big company, which will put you in, if that's what you want, to put you in a better position to perform to get the promotion. What would another option be? Well, you could go and get a management position in a small to medium business. These are just some options that I think the probability is higher. I don't think you're wrong for wanting to do something. Now, if you say, well, Andy, I don't have this experience. I've never worked for a big company. I don't have any management experience, and I want both of those. I would say to you, that's great, but why does it have to be the next step? Okay? Can it, what's the rush? Can it be 2 steps? Can we make it a year or 2 or 3? Something like that. And so that's how I would go about that, and that's how I approach things. I don't think any of you are crazy. I think that if you choose to do something like that, that you are placing a great level of you are inserting a great level of difficulty into what you want to accomplish, and you're making the probability of being able to attain that very low. And so what I believe that you can do that, but I think you need to put yourself in a position to be successful and build on and then step on each step, so to speak, to climb that ladder toward that goal. That's what I would do. I'll never tell you what to think or that I think you're crazy. That's just crazy. All right, I hope that helps. All right, hey, I got, let's see, accepted a new role, Jared Oliver, starting 11-1, contract role, filling in for somebody, heading T? Where'd you go? Where'd the rest of it go? All right, well, good for you. Shannon Mona, hey, from New Jersey, you're welcome for the tips. Keith, you're always welcome. South Dakota proud, baby. Nice. Mr. Black Italian, do you have a video or education on transitioning up to a new job? I cannot wait to tell you what I'm about to tell you. This brings a smile on my face. Looking to move from product owner to product manager. Now, first thing is, I did a little run this morning on my treadmill in my basement, in my pain cave. And while I was on the treadmill, I ran for an hour, and I spent 1 whole hour watching me give a first 90 days talk, which is something that I did a couple years ago, and it really applies to anything regarding a new job or transitioning into a new position or position type, new company, new market, whatever. And I need to figure out how I'm going to get it out into your hands soon. Maybe like a bonus for my boot campers or something, I don't know. But when you want to transition from product owner to product manager, inside my job search boot camp in the coaching program, this is my big coaching signature program. So you might hear me call it one of those 2 names. There is a career changer module that is 4 phases, 12 steps, and I go through the methodology that I use to change careers successfully twice. Now, product owner to product manager is what I would call not even a major change. It's kind of a slight pivot. So when I look at, owner versus manager, there's mild differences there. One, in general terms, the person who manages the product itself is likely working on the features of the product. The owner is usually working on the applicability. That's just a general statement. It doesn't really matter if I'm right or not in your terms. For you specifically, I mean. What you want to do here is you want to use a little research to figure out what makes a good product manager a good product manager. I call those capabilities. But basically, a big part of making a change is recognizing what skills you need to develop for who you want to be in the future, which is the product manager. So a product owner has a suite of skills, a project manager has some overlapping skills, and then perhaps some other skills. Whatever those other skills are, you need to look at what they are, you need to figure out what they are, and you need to develop them. And a lot of that and all that good stuff is in my leadership coaching program. That's a monthly or annual subscription that you can get in. So anything related to career development, changes like this, steps to take, and thriving in your career is in my leadership coaching, because that covers career development. It also covers organization, productivity, lifestyle, and wellness. Other things, I have focus and session, I have an energy session, I have all kinds of stuff in there. But I would highly recommend you look at that, because that's a great question. Remember this, when you're making a change in your career, the less change in the change, the faster and more successful the change will be. So what do I mean? Well, if I'm going from, and let's take something a little bit more extreme. If I'm going from, I'm in sales, I want to be in marketing. Okay, you could try to go and get a new job in a company and get on the marketing team, or you could try to go within your company where you know the company, you know the industry, you know the product and service line and so on. To go from sales to marketing in your own company is the easiest thing you can do. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's the easiest route to get over to where you want to go. The next easiest route is what? Instead of just going from sales to marketing and trying to get to a new company, why not go from sales to marketing in the same industry, the same product line, the same whatever, so that there are things you already know. So I sell software solutions for the healthcare space. Okay, well, go to a healthcare company, a software company, a whatever company, similar line, or go from one healthcare company to another healthcare company, but then make your transition, because there's less stuff you need to learn. That's what I'm talking about, the less change in the change. For you, this is not a huge stretch because there's so much overlap with what those two functions do. But in anybody else who's trying to make more of an extreme change, some of those assets that I shared with you in the Job Search Bootcamp or in the leadership coaching program, those are assets that would really help you. And if you're interested in if you get confused with what's in Andyland, support@mylwalk.com, and we will help you. You tell us what your issue is, what you want to learn, and we will tell you what the right programs are for you. And you could decide if you want to get in. All right, let's see. Ruthie, I'm in an HR coordination role and looking to move to a generalist role. My experience is in higher ed, customer service with similar processes. Any advice to make the transition? Ruthie, I literally just answered that question. So I hope that helped. All right, folks, 12:38. I got to get running real quick. Next Thursday, LinkedIn Career Talks. If you're on my email list, you'll get an email. If you subscribe or are synced to the Mile Walk Academy calendar of live events, it's there. Well, I'm sure we'll shoot you an email in the morning into how to get there. And then on Friday, November 12th, I have a leadership coaching session with members of my leadership group, and that's a monthly subscription or an annual subscription or a lifetime subscription, negotiating your pay raise. The following week, the 15th through the 19th, Job Search Challenge Week. In between all this stuff, I've got new videos I'll be sending you, other things that are on point with the topics. It's just a great time of year to be active. It really is. And if you are struggling in the job search, keep your chin up, focus on what you can control. Join me for the Job Search Challenge. If you're in the free community where you take advantage of my complimentary stuff, it's still going to be like 8 hours of coaching. in a week or so. And if you're in my boot camp, you're going to get a whole bunch more. So I hope that helps. I love you all. I love doing this. 100 minutes today, and I just loved every single one of those. All right, you guys be good. We'll see you.